I keep my phone on all night just because I'm on call for any pastoral emergencies that may arise in the congregation. So when my daughter texted me at 3:30 this morning, I got the message. She was staying over at a friend's house and had come down with some pretty severe cramps and wanted to know if I would be so kind as to bring the heating pad from her bedroom over to comfort her. Well, I wasn't going to make it back to sleep anyway, especially not thinking about her suffering. So I did it. And you might think, wow, what a great dad. Although she would be mortified to know that I told you this story this morning. So let's never speak of it again. And the gospel does say to us, if you love those who love you, what credit is that to you? If you do good to those who do good to you, I got such a lovely hug from my little girl when I dropped off the heating pad at the doorstep. What credit is that to you? The real challenge that Jesus puts before us in this teaching from the Gospel of Luke today, the real challenge that he puts before us by his life and by his death, is the challenge to love those who curse you, to love your enemies, to bless those who curse you, to pray for those who abuse you. That's the real test of living in the kingdom of God now. As if we could become like God, as Jesus himself was like his Father. I've been kind of dreading the day that came this Wednesday at midnight when it was announced that wearing of masks would no longer be required in indoor gatherings in the state of California for those who are fully vaccinated. Of course, on one level, it was good news. But as the leader of this community, I had some anxiety about what this would mean for us. Because not everyone in our community is fully vaccinated. Some are not fully vaccinated against the SARS-CoV-2 virus because they're too young to be. Others have been cautioned by their doctors not to be. And others are still not convinced that it's entirely safe for them and are waiting to see, waiting for the test of time to prove that in fact there are no side effects over the long term of receiving this vaccine. And others in our community, well, all of us, I dare say, are getting awfully sick of these things and would just as soon dispense with them. And yet, when I think about asking Susan and our other ushers, our volunteers who greet people at the door on Sunday morning, to comply with the guidance from the California Department of Public Health and ask each person upon their entry into our church for worship on Sunday, are you vaccinated or require proof positive that they are? It makes me very uncomfortable. If I think that Susan would then have to tell everyone who is either unwilling or unable to give that attestation or that proof, okay, well then you must wear one of these. Unlike the majority of the people in this room, makes me distinctly uncomfortable. So think about the person sitting next to you, the person speaking aloud, the person singing, and think about what if that person were not vaccinated. Think about what you would want to ask of that person. Well, you'd probably want to ask them to put one of these on. And what does Jesus say? As you would have others do for you, do that. So we've made the decision to keep wearing these until such time as we're satisfied that we can all take them off. When you think about the really significant changes that have happened in the world, the positive changes, the changes that have transformed situations of violence, systematic oppression, the denigration and dehumanization of other people. When you think about, well, like the civil rights movement that African Americans and others in this country undertook in the 1950s and 1960s. When you think about the anti-apartheid struggle in South Africa and the movement of truth and reconciliation that ensued upon the fall of that regime. They began with this principle that it's not enough to demand your rights from others. Anyone can do that, and there's a lot of that going on, and there's really nothing wrong with it. People should stand up for their rights. People should take a stand for their dignity, their worth as human beings. But what made those movements and other nonviolent movements around the world that have made deep and lasting changes, that have given hope to oppressed peoples, the so-called untouchables in India, for example? It was this principle of beginning not with how can I win my rights, but how can I transform the relationship that I have with those who are oppressing me? And that the only way to do that in a lasting and truly revolutionary way is to affirm their dignity. Even when they strike me, even when they abuse me, even when they set dogs on me and turn water cannons on me, I'm going to continue to relate to them as if we were brothers and sisters I'm going to continue to treat them as I would wish to be treated. Trusting that spark of humanity that is in them has not gone out. But I have the power to recognize it, to nurture it, to make it grow. And that is the power that love, the kind of love that Jesus manifested in the world, puts in our hands. The power to see in others that beauty, that worth, that dignity that we so desire that they would see in us. The power to break out of the trap of reciprocal resentment, to shatter the cycle of retribution and distrust and violence. The power to take a stand on faith in the God who is the loving parent of all, who extends mercy to all, who invites us not to judge or condemn or discriminate, but to speak with courage and patience, and above all with love, to act with love, to give with love, to take our stand on love as the liberating, life-giving Spirit that comes through us from God.